This is The Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral.com.
Good afternoon, Tuscaloosa, Internet World, West Alabama. How we doing today on this Monday? Thank you for joining us. This is The Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral and BamaCentral.com. You're checking us out on the BamaCentral YouTube channel. You're listening to us on your favorite podcast platform, Spotify, Apple Podcast, or Amazon. We appreciate everybody who has subscribed, rated, and reviewed the show on their favorite podcast platforms. Go ahead and give it little 5 stars or tell somebody about this show. We're here in the Derry Daniel State Farm Studios, as we are right each and every weekday, right off of McFarland Boulevard, live with Derry Daniel and my friend Mason Woods. You can call Derek and his team today, Red Reese and Victoria, for all your insurance needs at 205-758-3391. Call and see how much Derek can save you today, as we get a brand new week started with my friend Mason Woods. Follow him on the Twitter machine at MAWoods_. He is covering all things recruiting across the Walsh Riding Network, and the transfer portal season has him very, very busy. Mason Woods, good afternoon. How we doing?
You know, I've been better, honestly. It was a long day at the Home Depot. You know, that's not abnormal, though. Transfer portal news got me down a little bit. And then, you know, I didn't even mention this when you came in here a few minutes ago, but I am at war with the Northport Post Office.
Oh, boy.
I am at war. I am waging war with the new Northport Post Office.
We love our local businesses, but what's going on? What are they withholding a package from you, or they cannot find your address?
Countless packages. I have been in this house we moved in August. Like one of the first things I ordered to the house is like a T-shirt, I think. Get the notification on my phone. Oh, the package has been delivered. Okay, I'll go out and check. Nothing in the mailbox. Okay, that's a little strange. The next day, still nothing. Okay. And I'm coming home from work the next day. So this is now 3 days after it's told me it's been, or 2 days after it's told me it's been delivered. And I see something down in the ditch. There's my package. Okay, no big deal. T-shirt soaking wet. Package has been saturated with water down there. All right, whatever, you know. Maybe it fell out. Okay. I order something again a week or two, or a couple weeks later, a month later. Basically, the exact same thing happens.
Do you put on your package notes, delivery, not in the ditch?
I should, I guess. This is, because my wife orders things. They are supposedly here. They're nowhere to be found. Call the post office. Yeah, he says he delivered them. Oh, turns out he delivered them to the wrong address. Then we were able to do the runaround all day. Eventually, at like 9 o'clock that night, we miraculously have packages on our doorstep. And now here we are, Christmas season. I'm trying to order gifts for my lovely wife. And I have been told that my package was delivered 2 days ago. It is nowhere to be found.
Oh.
It is awaiting delivery it's just like, I do not... You probably got a hard job, post office guy, post mailman. Probably got a tough gig.
Mail person.
Sure. But whoever you are, I want you to just read the address when it comes up, and I want you to drive to that location. I want you to take the thing that you are supposed to deliver to that location and put it in the box designed to receive that item. If it cannot fit in that box, I want you to drive down the driveway and place it on my doorstep, because that is what your job is. Your job is not to just throw it into the ditch and let it get ruined. Your job is not to just not deliver it, apparently, and just hang on to it for days on end. Your job is also not to take it to the wrong address. It's a pretty simple gig. I really think it is. I don't think it's that. I don't think you have to do a whole lot of thinking. I think you run down a list of where you got to go for the day. Like, it's so frustrating. And this is like the worst time of year for it to be happening. Obviously, we have all kinds of things, transfer portal news, Bama basketball news, anything is happening. It's a wild time of year work-wise. And then on top of things, you got to just drive the knife into me, USPS. So yes, I am waging a war with the new Northport Post Office. Shout out to the guy that works at the desk up there, because he's really cool. He's trying his hardest. He is dealing. You go to Google, you read the reviews. They have a 2.6 review, 2.6 out of 5 stars. Horrible. First one is, ordered over $1,000 worth of Amazon packages to my house. Never showed up. This poor woman's Christmas is ruined. My Christmas is potentially ruined. Everyone's Christmas in the area might be ruined at this point. But all that to say, we're here. We can get into
catastrophe.
This is ridiculous. I'll find out today. before I even left to come to the show today, I get home, I'm letting the dog out, dealing with got a cat
Rusty.
meowing in my other ear, waiting to eat, trying to call the post office. Just deadline. I called 5 times. Did not receive an answer on not one of those calls.
Dial tone.
I am infuriated with the Northport post office.
Well, Mason,
Count your days.
Oh, I'm not married at the moment. When my previous marriage, I went through that 2 different times. I had packages delivered to a house that was just around the block. So I got the packages marked and essentially called.
Mhm.
They were able to tell me, and they sent me a GPS. And I said, well, that's not my house. And I was able to walk around and get the packages off the porch from, and so I saved Christmas that way. Then the second time this happened, I had ordered my lovely ex-wife packages to the house, and it never made it. Said it was delivered. Had to call the delivery driver. Oh, it's still in my truck. I had to meet him way out, God knows where, to go get it because I was trying to save Christmas.
And me and you do not live
things
very far from one another. There's like a pretty decent chance this is the same person we're having this issue with. So whoever you are, man, woman, child, who may be delivering my mail, I don't even know. It could be a toddler in that truck at this point.
You're threatening relationships here.
You're really putting stress on everyone's lives. You're toying with the fabric of our lives, and I don't like it. I am at the whim of the USPS right now, and I would not like to be that way. Whew. Ugh. It's been a heck of a few days.
Speaking of being toyed with, it sounds like a perfect place to jump into the transfer portal. Alabama football, several newsworthy items. I got several names we want to jump at you. I got 4 names that we should talk about with transfer portal news. Let's talk about the happiest news first. The happiest news and most official news is tight end Danny Lewis has decided to return to the capstone.
We thank you. We thank you, Danny Lewis.
What is he, redshirt sophomore? Is that what he was this past season? Let's find out. Danny Lewis Jr. from Louisiana, right? Roll Tide from Danny Lewis Jr. Yeah, redshirt sophomore. Yep, we were right on that. From Westgate, New Iberia, Louisiana. Boom, 2 for 2. Joe Gaither.
Hotbed right there.
Like we actually cover the team from time to time.
Almost like we know a thing or two.
He jumps back in. He jumps in the transfer portal. What do we see? What do we see transpire over these last handful of days? Alabama goes and tries to get Lucas, the tight end from Arkansas. He visits, ends up at Ole Miss. Basically, it's been an Arkansas to Ole Miss pipeline so far. But Alabama misses on him. Danny Lewis goes to the portal, I think largely due to wanting opportunity, wanting maybe a guarantee of opportunity. I don't know that that's true or not, but just wanting better shot.
Yeah.
You're going to see Dupree leave. You're going to see Robbie Oots leave. There's going to be some more room in this Alabama tight end room. You got Josh Cuevas coming out. You got Ty Lockhart, Ty Haywood and Lockhart. They're all going to run together there. Ty Lockhart.
You also have Marshall Pritchett coming in.
So you got some tight ends right there. I think this is a good gift for Alabama because I think that he is able to do the inline stuff while also able to catch passes. He's not going to be as maybe proficient in the dirty work as Robbie Oots, but I think that he's going to give you more in the passing game. I think he might give you a little more in the blocking department than CJ Dupree. But this is a good gift for Alabama.
Yeah, I think like you said, he kind of plays that tweener spot a little bit where he's, kind of what you're looking for, where he can do the nasty things. He can get down and dirty, stay in line and make some blocks, get in the run game and make things happen. But he also has that threat as a receiver. And, I think Cuevas maybe is more of a receiving threat tight end. So Danny Lewis certainly fills a role that this Alabama team needs that maybe, Dupree was tasked with filling last year and maybe struggled at times with, like you said, the physical aspect of things. I think,
he did about a B plus.
Yeah. I think having these 2 players where they have these, differing skill sets, but both can play at the same spot is it's only going to help open this offense up even more.
Yeah, so that's a really positive thing for Alabama. I'm not going to sit here and we'll get into somebody that Alabama lost over the weekend and say that these transfer portal losses are like into the world. The sky is falling. The program is, in shambles. You're going to see that on Twitter from rival Twitter. Alabama is burning in Tuscaloosa. You don't like losing players, but I'm not really that overly concerned about the guys that you've lost. I chalk it up to kind of normal attrition. But in a perfect world, you like getting the guys back. You like let them test the water, see what's out there. Come on back to Tuscaloosa and be committed to the program. Hopefully that's going to be the case with Danny Lewis Jr., and I think that's worth celebrating.
Yeah, I mean, it not only is he a very talented player, you get back on the team, it's, just that much less time you have to spend teaching a guy this system.
Absolutely. So, all right, we got 3 more juicier names. One rumored player to be coming to Tuscaloosa. One player who did jump in the transfer portal, I believe it was Friday after we recorded. And then one player who is rumored to be flirting with the transfer portal. Which one we want to do? Running back, wide receiver, or defensive back, Mason? What do you want to do first?
I think let's stick with the slightly positive news. I like the kicker on here with, maybe we go to the rumor that that Alabama supposedly might be getting this week or within the next day or two.
Let's talk about, what's his name? Is it Isaiah Helton? Miami wide receiver, or did I just make that up? Miami, Florida football sketch or football stats. I think it was Isaiah Helton, but nothing just came up because that makes me feel like we're crazy. Yeah, let's go to 2024. Perfect. And receiving.
Bad time for me to not be able to find this.
Yeah,
just had it pulled up. You know what? This is not what we were going to talk about, but we didn't mention it before we got into the show. What about Devontae Smith to Notre Dame? That one is man, that's a very physical defense. That is a defense that plays extremely hard, that gets a lot of turnovers, and just got him an absolute stud. A guy that lays the wood every time he makes a tackle, a guy that can fly around and just make plays on a defense. So he's one that is a tough loss for Alabama. But like I just said, Notre Dame definitely got a stud out of him. Why can I not find this name now?
Did I just lose all my brains? All right. Well, I am going to talk about. I am going to just talk about Justice Haynes while you keep looking at that, because Justice Haynes jumped in the transfer portal. Did you find
Isaiah Horton? That is where our mess up was. I'm sitting here looking for Helton, and
thank you very much, because I'm feeling like what a fool. Horton.
Isaiah Helton. That name is what is Helton?
Todd Helton.
Yeah, I guess I'm thinking of the coaches. The name is just associated with football in my brain, so I automatically made the connection there.
All right, yeah.
Isaiah Horton.
Let's go back to that. Isaiah Horton,
big body,
6'4", 205 wide receiver. So we've talked about wide receiver loss. We talked about KC Concepcion came to Alabama on a transfer portal visit, but doesn't look like he's going to be sticking around, which is okay. You're going to get other guys. Isaiah Horton out of Miami, 6'4", 205 out of Murfreesboro, Tennessee. This past season, 56 receptions, 516 yards for 5 touchdowns. He is a junior, basically a redshirt sophomore, because he had 1 catch for 6 yards his true freshman year. So he redshirts that year. He gets 13 catches for 168 yards and a touchdown his redshirt freshman year, and then basically becomes Miami's third-ish wide receiver this past season.
Offense
second wide receiver. They had
Restrepo,
Horton, and Jacoby George. Jacoby George had 51 receptions.
That guy's going to have a very lengthy career in the NFL. He is so good.
He looks like he was a perfect Patriot 5 years ago, 10 years ago.
He is so good, so crafty, shifty. Not what we're talking about, but just, I love watching him play. Isaiah Horton, though.
What do you think about getting a big? When's the last 6'3" wide receiver that you had dominate at Alabama? I mean, Julio Jones.
Yeah.
Was Amari even that big? Amari wasn't that big.
No, he's only 6'1", 6'2".
Yeah, listed.
He's a little, maybe a little thicker, but not this tall.
Yeah, listed 6'1" right here on the Wikipedia for Amari. Big body guy. Well, Robert Foster was a big guy as well, 6'4", 6'5" for Robert Foster. We like that. Kevin Norwood.
Man, you know who's pretty big? Jai Hall.
Caleb Odom.
I don't remember the last time Alabama had a receiver of this size really, be a big significant part of the offense. It seems like it's been a while since they had a guy who looks to be maybe just kind of a go-to jump ball kind of receiver with that size, with the ability to go up and get the ball, with the verticality to him that they've maybe lacked.
Yeah, and how good is that going to be for a guy like Austin Mack, who's just going to be launching it up down the field, that big old rocket launcher arm?
I mean, we talked about, last week the new receiver, Derek Meadows, and how he can be like be that version of this, or be that kind of player in this offense. And right here, this is a more experienced guy who is already, been tested by the rigors of college football, that can potentially slide right in and take over that role.
Well, it just fits into kind of what he had at Washington last season, really, with a couple of big body receivers. Jalen Polk was like 6'1". I think Roma Dunze, my bear, is like 6'2", 6'3", big old dude.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a lot of fun.
I think this is what Kalen DeBoer just likes to have in his receiver core.
Hey, we can impose our will. What did Jamarcus Shepard call them? We're takers. We're not wide receivers. We're takers.
I like that.
So he's gonna go take the football. Watching some highlights right here on YouTube of Isaiah Horton against USF, and he is absolutely big body in these defensive backs.
Yeah. The little bit I was able to see today on Twitter, the few clips I watched, he was just mossing guys. Like I think he's gonna be he's down there somewhere. Get the ball to Isaiah Horton.
Isaiah Horton, Jeremy Bernard, Ryan Williams, the little trio.
Feel pretty good about that.
We like that.
I'm feeling pretty good about that. You get Danny Lewis in there. You get Josh Cuevas running down the seam, maybe.
For everybody crying about, you're losing Kendrick Law, you're losing Kobe Prentice.
It's going to be okay.
It'll be fine.
It will be okay. Not to mention all of the guys they have behind them. A plethora of talent back there.
Oh, man, such a huge loss for this offense. You never use Kendrick Law right. The transfer portal giveth and the transfer portal taketh. I think Isaiah Horton would be a very good addition. All right, so next, the juicy drama. Friday, look, this should not have surprised you. Mason said that he did, so I'll ask him why. But Justice Haynes announces he's going in the transfer portal. Justice Haynes was, third on the team in carries this past season, behind, obviously, Jalen Milroe and Jam Miller. Alabama 2024. Let's see if I can see the whole stats here. So just to give you the actual breakdown of how many he got, because it wasn't that many rushing right there attempts. He was, third on the team with 79 rushing attempts. Didn't even have 100 carries. 448 yards and 7 touchdowns. Now, he did have 17 receptions for 99 yards and no touchdowns. So what's that? 79 and 17. That's 89 and 7 is 96 total touches offensively for roughly 550 yards and 7 touchdowns. Are you I'll ask you, Mason Woods, why were you surprised? Because some people were. Why were you surprised?
Yeah, I was. I told you right before we sat down to record, I was like, transfer portal news. I tell you, it surprised me a little bit, and you kind of looked at me a little funny, and I thinking about it a little more, yeah, maybe it makes sense. But my reason that I was a little surprised is because, in my opinion, he entered this season kind of knowing what the deal was. He knew good and dang well him and Jam Miller were going to split carries in the backfield. He knew that Jalen Milroe liked to run the ball a lot and was going to get a lot of opportunities to do so. So I don't understand, if you saw all of that in front of you, why you didn't go ahead and transfer last year if you were looking for a bigger role. I understand wanting a bigger role, and I get, somewhere else can probably offer you that bigger role. But it was a little weird. I thought if you stuck around last year, maybe he just is going to continue to stick around. But, evidently somewhere else has offered him maybe a bigger spot, a bigger chunk of the offense, maybe some lucrative NIL money. Who knows?
One of the spots that is apparently on his list, South Carolina. That'd be a very interesting fit after they're losing Rocket Sanders to graduation/NFL draft.
I mean, I tell you, if he wants to get the ball a lot,
Shane Beamer will run your legs off, boy. He will run you dry. Oh my goodness.
I mean, just looking at this list, it's all schools that will just run him.
What are the other ones?
Michigan, Ohio State, Florida, Ole Miss. Ole Miss, you might get some reprieve.
Yeah, he's going to be in somewhat of a battle there, I bet you. But Florida, I mean, you'll have sophomore DJ Lagway, but we're trying to get downhill at Florida, definitely. Who knows what
Ohio State,
Ohio State, you'll be in a little bit of a switch. What's the name? Travion Henderson, is he coming back?
I'm not sure
Or
about
is,
that.
or is he going to be gone? And then Michigan, you've got a lot of. I mean, we're just getting
Michigan,
downhill.
you'll get 850 carries if you go there.
Good luck, Justice Saints. I think it's good. Really, I'm not surprised. I wasn't surprised because of the amount, the how few I think the touches were this season. I think that to a degree, Mason, you're right. You should have expected a bit of a ball care, a bit of a split. But when you look at Jaylen with 152, Jam with 135, and you're third on the team with 79 rushes, like
maybe that split could have been a little more even.
Yeah, it could have been somewhat. The percentages could have been a little better. Now, let's just be honest. Justice Haynes, his vision was not good all year long. It was really like, and so going back to the earlier point, like talking about losses in the transfer portal, these 13 guys now. Like, I'm not sitting here crying over good luck at South Carolina, good luck at Ole Miss, wherever you go, Notre Dame, whatever you do.
Am I making it up, or wasn't Justice a little banged up this year too? Also, yeah. So I mean that it also contributes to losing some carries. It's all a bit odd.
Yeah, but some health issues for sure.
It'll be okay.
But my biggest thing is like you didn't have very good vision throughout the year when you did get touches, and so yeah, you had 448 yards, you averaged 5.7 yards a carry, so that's really good. That's better than Jam's 4.7 yards, like a whole yard better.
But contextually, right. Yeah, I think when you look at Jam's body of work compared to Justice's body of work this season, it maybe is a little obvious who you want to roll with.
I wouldn't trust Justice Haynes on a 4th and 1.
I don't know that I would either.
I'd trust Jam over Justice. If you said you had to give me one.
I would trust Milroe also over him,
Yeah, it's not going to be a big loss.
Yeah.
He might succeed somewhere else, but
we've seen the talent they have in that backfield, and I think it'll be okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So the juiciest news.
One more I do before we get into the biggest piece, because this one will be quick, I think. What about Dylan Lonergan taking a visit this week?
Oh yes, good. Thank you for pointing that out.
AIQB. Gonna be a dog. Maybe.
Look, this is like this is, and I'm trying to put this into words, but I'm just seeing all kinds of vision. I'm seeing a Stetson Bennett 0.2, but more talented, because I always trash Stetson Bennett.
Bennett with like the physical to back it up.
Stetson Bennett with the physical and not like you had to wait 4 or 5 years to develop him to get to that. Like Stetson was bossing on kid because he was the oldest kid in college football. Like I think Dylan Lonergan will he be now a redshirt sophomore, right? A redshirt sophomore, I believe is what he will be. Going into his 3rd year. I think he's already got it in between the years. Now they've got good quarterbacks. What, Jalen Rashada?
I believe.
Did they get Jalen Rashada? Is that no? They got the kid from Arizona State. Well, it might have been Jalen Rashada, but they've got a obviously Gunnar Stockton. He's got eligibility as well. That would be
Jaden Rashada.
Yeah,
and then the freshman also Ryan. Puglisi.
Puglisi. Okay, yes. Okay.
Highly touted freshman, I believe.
So maybe it's a really crowded room.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he doesn't get a fair shot there, or maybe he does. But
I mean,
Kirby would love his type.
That's what even if it is a crowded room, there's a reason he's taking a visit to Georgia. They don't not want him.
Yeah, so, Kirby would love his type.
Yeah, I think he would fit in very, very well in the black and red. Unfortunately for Alabama, and that's that might be DEFCON 1 because I don't think Bama fans want to see that.
Oh.
Let's move on to the juiciest news though, because that's about all I had on Dylan Lonergan to potentially become a dog.
Oh, I don't want to talk about this part.
This one hurts my heart.
Because if you've been cruising the Twitter airwaves today or any of the Bama sites, you have seen Charlie Potter's post from On3 Sports. It has been everywhere. So this is not really like spoiling their boards or their message boards. Charlie Potter My friend wrote. He probably wouldn't say that actually. He would probably say, "No, I'm not." Just to laugh. Uh, Now he wrote that it looks like Jaylen Mbakwe is going to transfer. It looks like Jaylen Mbakwe is being teased to go into the transfer portal with a 7-figure offer. And did he write the two-way context?
I think so. I think that's what I
Okay,
saw.
because the context that I have is that it's over $1 million. Gonna get an opportunity to play two ways, both ways, offense and defense. And you remember that's what he did in high school. I believe it's Ole Miss that's tampering with him. But somebody's tampering with him. He's removed all his Alabama stuff off his Instagram, and it seems like he's going to be going in the transfer portal pretty much any minute now. This one's challenging to accept. No, obviously you just chalk it up to the game, the nature of the beast.
But is it just the nature of the beast?
Yes.
Or is it? Well, sure. I mean, yes. Like this is the bed we have found ourselves in. But this is just blatant disregard for any sort of tampering issues, tampering rules.
Well, the rules are so loose,
and that's kind of where I guess the issue is here.
Right.
It's just I am not going to be in the camp of college sports. You've broken college football. It's ruined. Whatever.
Thank you.
But this should not be able to happen. This should not be allowed to happen. I don't know how you can monitor it. There's not really any way to, I guess. The only solution that I see is an actual dedicated agreement between players and schools where they are paid X amount for their services each year and they sign contracts and so on and so forth. Essentially turning it into the
revenue sharing will help that a little, but it hasn't really fully enacted yet.
Mm-hmm.
It won't fully enact till next academic year. But you'll still be able to give kids NIL deals on top of this revenue share, which will provide extra incentive.
Mm-hmm.
How about Lane Kiffin, man?
Wheeling and dealing. Where's all this money coming from in Oxford?
Hashtag transfer to the sit. Do you see his ex-wife is reportedly moving from wherever she's living back to Oxford?
Everything's coming up Lane.
He's celebrating all the Kiffins back in the sit.
Oh man, everything coming up Joey Freshwater right now.
What do you think he'll do with Jaylen Mbakwe on offense and defense? You know he's in his ear saying, "You see Travis Hunter." Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Then you're selling him on I think Jaylen Mbakwe is a very talented player.
Is he doing that in the SEC?
No, nobody's doing that in the SEC. Travis Hunter wouldn't have done that in the SEC. Travis Hunter is a generational talent.
He did it in 6A high school football, Alabama high school football.
That don't matter. Half of those kids aren't on college football. More than half of the kids he played with aren't in college.
7-figure deal for
fields.
a young man. First off, look at this Alabama defensive backfield. You started Damani Jackson, transfer, okay. Big time player, big time recruit, a lot of talent. All right, boom. But you brought in 3 freshmen, and my mans couldn't beat out Xavier Brown. Now, it does appear that he was right behind Xavier for that number 2 spot. But Deshaun Jones is in the mix as well. So you're going to pay $7 million for a kid who couldn't win the starting job, who had as fair a fair shot as anyone could have had.
No. I mean, yeah, it's unfortunate,
He returned those punts real nicely for Alabama this year.
Yeah.
Couple of them.
I think, if you're Kalen DeBoer, if you're Courtney Morgan, you're kind of just sitting here and kind of like you just laid out, you're weighing your options here. Do we want to unload $1 million+ plus whatever guarantees we have to give him for a kid that couldn't win the job last year? Or do we just cut our losses and say, hey, go enjoy the two-tone blue, go enjoy the powder blue helmets, go have fun in Oxford, go party at the SIP.
Who the heck are we?
Yeah. I think you make a pretty good point there. I think if you're Alabama, unfortunately, you just got to cut your losses if this is the case.
Recruited you to Alabama to play corner. I don't care what Nick Saban told you you're going to play corner.
There's not
I know you got daydreams of playing wide receiver as well.
There's not a spot for him in this offense, play receiver, really.
Yeah.
Not sure they could make a roll, but I mean, between Jeremy Bernard, Ryan Williams, and
Isaiah Horton.
yeah, I mean, like you just your touches are going to be limited in this offense if you're Jaylen Mbakwe, if you're a player who already is not a wide receiver, now transitioning to get wide receiver snaps this season. So we can throw that out the window. You're not going to play on this offense. You might get a few gadget plays here and there if anything, but you're not going to be a consistent option at wide receiver. So guarantee that, number one that you want off the board. We can't offer you that kind of money. You didn't win the job last year. If you had, maybe we'd be having a different conversation here, but the guy that beat you out is still here. So we can't give you that kind of money. So, there's your want number two out the window.
And look, are we really doing that when you're bringing in a 6'4" corner in Dijon Lee and another modern day corner in Chuck McDonald?
I think it's okay. You just gotta.
So is it that big of a deal? Because here's the deal: when this happened, you're gonna say, "Oh, Alabama freshman Jaylen Mbakwe goes in the transfer portal."
People are gonna be.
They're gonna lose their minds because he was the number 2 overall. He was the number 1 player in the class of 24 before Ryan Williams reclassified out of Clay Chalkville, playing corner, playing quarterback, mostly playing quarterback for Clay Chalkville. And comes in great athlete, and he comes in super ambassador, basically is one of the main reasons that Ryan Williams commits to Alabama. Doesn't not the reason. I don't want to put it all on him, but obviously, but a big part of it.
What does this mean?
People are gonna freak out, but I don't know. Again, like if you dance with the transfer portal, I'm not gonna say like you're a bum.
No,
that's not it. But like I'm also like, there's very few people that I'm gonna do backflips over losing.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think if you're entertaining wanting to leave, just go on and go. It's okay. I don't really want anybody on my team who's flirting around with leaving anyway. I don't want to have to be chasing people to come stay if I'm a coach. I understand that is part of college football now, kind of, but to a certain extent, evidently in this case, sometimes you just know it. And I think maybe if, again, this is all rumored. We don't know for sure what is happening, but we just have fairly decent sources that have said that this could be the case. I think if you're Alabama, you just got to just say it is what it is. We move on. Ball up top.
Ball up top. Let's keep it rolling. Mason, for the olds like me, you've seen this ball up top. What the heck does that mean? While I do a little social media work.
Top of the key. Check the ball. We're starting over. Do you know what it stems from?
It's pickup basketball, is it not?
Well, yes, but no. It was a tweet that went very viral however many months ago now, of someone posting a picture of what they thought at the time was their newborn daughter and saying, "This is the most beautiful thing I've ever laid my eyes on, la da da da." And a day or two later, he quote tweeted his own tweet and just said, "She wasn't mine. Ball up top."
Oh no. Big fumble. Big fumble.
So yeah. I think that's the attitude Bama takes here. Hey, ball up top. Was back to the drawing board.
Well, you're getting a lot. I mean, I'm salivating over Dijon Lee and those measurables. 6'4" corner. Like Jaylen Mbakwe, you want to stay in this room as well? You're welcome to. You're welcome to stay and work, and good luck. You want to move on? That's A-okay.
It is what it is.
Let's jump out of the transfer portal and jump to basketball. Before we do, we want to tell you about our friends Purple Turtle Roofing. They're the most reliable residential roofing replacement company in Alabama and Mississippi. Whether it's addressing leaks, storm damage, or general wear and tear, Purple Turtle Roofing is going to be there to deliver exceptional roof repair for your property. They're the leading expert in local residential roofing solutions, specializing in providing unparalleled service and quality craftsmanship for all your roof replacement needs. Call Dustin Foley and his team today at 877-PT-ROOF-5 for your free roof inspection. That's 877-787-6635 to schedule your appointment, and one of their qualified employees will come check out your roof for free and make sure you're prepared for any and all of life's storms. Dustin and his team have had a great year, and they've loved to make you a part of closing it out or get started on 2025 with you. Check them out online today at roofturtle.com. All right, Mason Woods, I'm tired of the transfer portal rumors. Let's talk about actual action from Saturday night. Alabama basketball exercised a few demons, beating the Creighton Blue Jays 83-75.
They gave us our red throwbacks.
Yeah, okay, we'll start right there. What'd you think of that? Owen Dudley's old uniforms.
They were beautiful. Now, I will say, admittedly, I would have loved to also. I still would like to see a red version of the, white throwback uniform that they did with the gray trim and, but these were awesome. Wear them more, please. Give me more alternate uniforms for basketball, especially. I don't, Bama does not, in basketball, at least to me, really have the same. You can't change the uniform.
Sure, agreed.
It doesn't have that same kind of.
Be creative.
Yes, be creative. Recruits love it. Fans love it. Please, more of this.
Big game in a big setting.
It's awesome.
And you went to a throwback uniform, maybe cleaned it up just a hair, this and that. Not really many changes structurally to it, to the design. I thought it looked really, really good. I thought it served its purpose to fire the guys up on the Friday night beforehand, and it served its purpose to kind of get folks even more excited. Let's start with where people like to start with me, obviously, with Alabama basketball. How was the crowd, Joe? Putting it in my face. Really, really good, largely. Not as intense as I was expecting. The crowd filled up to maybe 98%, 98, really, really full outside of the student section. Now people are going to say, oh, the classes were out on Friday and some people's exams were over on Monday. They flew out. I understand. I get it. Yeah. I got you. But it just is what it is. There were sections of the student section that were not full. Like, I'm not trying to cast judgment. That's just the reality.
Stating the facts.
Right. And so because of that, it's not an A+ on that end. But the rest of the crowd, the paying customers, the the season ticket holders and the single game buyers, they showed out for it. And goodness gracious, Mason, you went with me on the first night, right? And how nasty the traffic was on the first night. It's the same way still. And they had 30-something days off, 33 days off. I felt like I hadn't been in Coleman all year long. I felt like it was the first time of the year because of the big break. And so I'm driving over an hour and change before, like I am, because I'm working the game. No big deal. And I get it into the deck that I'm supposed to be in fairly smoothly. But I know that I'm very early. Right, because I'm working, and that's what you're supposed to do. Fairly smoothly, I'm in there, and the guys are doing warm-ups, and I'm like, man, there's really nobody in here. And they're doing warm-ups, and man, there's still not really anybody in there. And one of my coworkers shot us a text, hey, I was going to be there on time, traffic, everything, XYZ, ABC. I'll still be there, but I'm going to be pushing, basically said it's taking a long time. I'm thinking, oh, my gosh. Like, you got to do something about the logistics because it did get full. It did get full as soon as the lady finished the national anthem. You looked around, you're like, okay, finally it's full. But for pregame warm-ups, which, I mean, admittedly, it doesn't really matter because there's not actual basketball, but like it does set the stage.
Yeah, it's kind of a mind game
juice. It does let the people, the visitors know you're going to be in for a fight that night. I think that, I mean, I'm usually pretty harsh on the fan base because I have really high standards. But, man, I think the logistics of this year have been really, really, really tough to get around. And if I wasn't working and if I didn't have a really, really high level of, I like this game, I like this team, I like this program, I don't know if I'd be putting up with it. I might just flip it on ESPN and say, y'all have fun with it. I'll sell my ticket.
Yeah, that's kind of exactly what I was thinking. I think it's so bad that it's maybe turning off, some of your more casual fans who are just,
it was full on
Bama basketball game
on Saturday.
Tickets only $25. Sure, I'll get a ticket. We'll go watch a game. And then, you show up. I don't want to wait in line for 45 minutes, an hour, sitting here in bumper to bumper traffic while you have, countless street lights that have been inexplicably turned off so someone can poorly direct traffic into weird locations that don't fit well. So, they got to figure something out because I'm sure this is very far down on Nate Oates' list of priorities, but it's got to be somewhat bothersome. And like you said, this game did fill up eventually, but he loves a good crowd, so
And it turned out again.
Yes.
The credit the regular ticket and what was the student section? 85% full, 80% full, maybe. I think that's probably about right. I want to give them the due credit. Now, the Crimson Chaos folks, they were in there and they were bringing it. They just didn't have that last 10% of people that usually are there. But it was an hassle. And really, that was the number one reason why I didn't tweet anything in pregame, because I was thinking, man, I think it's going to fill up. And it did. But goodness gracious, we're about to get into SEC play. We got, 2 more home games left on this until 2 more December home games.
Do you think it's a more of a result of just like
it's the construction in
Sure.
the parking lot in Coleman? That's what it is.
But
you moved the
this
season ticket holders.
contingency plan that they've come up with? Do you think it's more that they underestimated how many people were going to be coming to Bama basketball games this year, or it's just a bad plan from the start?
I don't know how many options that they have.
Yeah.
You've got the parking lots and the parking lots that are available close to the rec, right?
Mm-hmm. But those are
and you can run shuttles. You can run shuttles. That's an option. You've basically cut the Coleman parking lot over half or so. And so a lot of those season ticket holders that have parking passes, they get bumped to the law school, and the law school parking gets bumped. Everything gets bumped up. So there really is not. If I were Shane, I think it's Shane Lyons. I would imagine he's associate athletic director. I don't know what the plan would be. I'm not sitting here trying to say that I have the answer.
No,
but man, it has made it complicated this year.
Yeah, it seems like something maybe fell through the cracks somewhere. Or maybe like you said, this.
I just don't know if you have a better.
Yeah, maybe there's
plan.
just. I mean, there's not really. I don't know what else you could do, but it's it's very unfortunate because, like we just kind of mentioned, it is so bad that it could be turning people off potentially, and that's a real issue.
So I give the crowd almost an A+. It would have been an A+ if the students had got that last little bit full, but they didn't. They're pretty good little night, and really, the fellas needed them. You jumped out to a 17-point lead in the first half.
They did exactly what we said they were going to do.
We talked about the middle eight. Creighton closes on a 21-10 run and basically just wipes away your good efforts. And you stretch it back out to about 13-14 in the second half, and Creighton bites you back into it. And ultimately, you win 83-75. But the killer instinct on this team is, in my opinion, severely lacking, Mason Woods.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like, at least, there is no notion of, all right, put the foot on the gas and let's stomp on their throats and end it. It's, okay, we got a pretty decent lead. We can just have fun now. And that's not the attitude you need for a championship winning basketball team. When it comes down to the wire, when it comes down to crunch time, you are going to have to stomp on the throat of your opponent and bury them. And this team through the first part of the season has lacked that. Basically at every turn. I mean, the game in Chapel Hill was okay, but even it had some swings where you get up big, you let them come back. You get up big, you let them come back. So I don't know how you can, because this is an issue we've talked about since even before the season started, where there's just so much talent. It's maybe hard to coach them because they know just as well as you and I. Well, we're kind of just better than a lot of people. That's a dangerous spot to be as a team. That is something that Nick Saban battled with his football teams for the entire tenure of his coaching, or for the entire length of his coaching tenure. And it's something that now that Nate Oates has begun to find success on the recruiting trail, I think he's starting to have to battle with.
So Alabama, only 11 turnovers, big positive there. You get basically under 12, under 13 turnovers. You dominated the glass, 46 rebounds at 32. And you did fairly well with Kalkbrenner. Yeah, he had 18 points. I was pretty impressed with Aiden Sherrill. I thought the defense played fairly well. Creighton was finished with a 1.02. 1.02, so, not great, but good. That could be better. Alabama finished 1.13. Just awful shot making. You look at the 3-point shooting. Let's start right there, Mason.
Ooh-wee.
3-point shooting for Alabama, only 6 of 30. So you only got up 30, which is fine. That's a decent number. Probably would like to see 35.
I mean, you only had, they only had 73 possessions on the game.
Yeah, they slowed you down just a little bit more than you
Mhm.
wanted to. And they got into a zone coverage look several different times. Greg McDermott and his side did. They got into a 1-3-1 a couple times, which should be more conducive to 3-point shooting, but it also slows you down just a little bit.
Yeah, it seemed like it confused them a little bit at times.
Right. I walked away Friday or Saturday night just not very happy. I mean, happy to win, but just not very
Not satisfied.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Mark Sears gets his 3-point shot back a little bit. 4 of 7.
4 of 7.
And he leads your team, leads all scorers with 27 points. So Mark Sears, great to get him back because he's been kind of up and down.
Mhm.
I think that this is kind of a big moment for him.
Yeah, I think like you mentioned, the first thing you said when we brought this up was not only the team exercising this demon, but Mark Sears as well. This was big for him. But just I was just that's a good, not satisfied is probably the best way to put it, because sure, it's a great win. You get the 8-point win over your hated rival. It's awesome. Everything's all hunky-dory in Tuscaloosa. But it's just, watching the game, there was so many points where it felt like Alabama could really, really put the foot on the gas pedal and extend this game to really being an embarrassing blowout for Creighton. And they just chose not to, which is kind of the worst part for me. It's like, it's not, I'm looking at Creighton's stat, it's not like they got super hot shooting or anything. They didn't have one guy come in and drain a bunch of threes back to back to back.
Well, they did.
Oh, yeah. No, you're right. I'm forgetting about that stretch.
That annoys me. Jackson McAndrew,
Jackson
23,
McAndrew, yeah.
comes in. He
hit, what, 3 or something?
In the second half, he was 4 of 5 from beyond the arc. He's 5 of 8 total, right? And so it's like, this is, you know that you're preparing for Ryan Kalkbrenner. Cool, right? You know that you're preparing for Stephen Ashworth, their main point guard. Cool, no problem. These are higher level players. Great. You know what they're coming into. This Joker, Jackson McAndrew, believe he's a freshman. That can't see that quite here on the stat broadcast, but he comes in and gives you only 8 minutes in the first half, 3 points. Okay, he's 1 of 3 from beyond there. Like, you give him that. Great.
Mm-hmm.
The first half, you popped one from deep. Great. We'll let that go. It's the second half where now he makes another, and he makes another. Let's look at this log.
Yeah,
here.
well, I mean, his
second half
it
log,
was like,
it was a handful in a row.
Yeah, it was like 5 possessions. He hit 4
at 5:39, at 4:34. Then he missed one at 3:55. He gets foul. He makes a foul. Then he gets a steal, and then again at 1:25, and then again at 24.
Mm-hmm.
So like these are, and at this point he's shown you he kind makes a handful. And so like Coach Oates talked about, in post game about we fell asleep a couple of times and it burned us. It's like this is. Like, it's cool if you lose because Ryan Kalkbrenner scored like 50 points or whatever, or Stephen Ashworth, their main guard, scores a bunch of points, goes off on you. It's just the attention to detail seems to be a little bit lacking. Now, the swag is not. LeBaron Philon talking trash the entire night, and we love that. And LeBaron backing it up himself with 16 points, 16 points and 5 rebounds for LeBaron. So I have nothing negative to say. Now he's 0 of 3 from beyond the arc. Nothing bad to say about you, LeBaron. I love you, and I love you and the way you play. Like, the swag is there. I just wonder about the attention to detail, really.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you, and it is frustrating to now be 11 games in. And we're still continuing to talk about the exact same things we talked about after the first game, basically, where it's just like, yes, this team is uber talented. They got talent dripping out of every orifice on their team. But for whatever reason, Nate Oates, whoever it may be, the Mark Sears can't convince the rest. I don't know what it is. Someone cannot get through to them that, hey, just play as hard as you can for 40 minutes. That's all you got to do. After that, sure, you can go do whatever. We can have a grand old time, but you just can't. You got to quit taking breaks like this in the game where some team will make you pay for it. And I don't know. Nobody has yet, I guess, because they've been able to kind of coast on these, get up big, let them come
Oregon
back.
did?
Yeah, I mean, that one was a little weird with
What's the other loss? Oregon and Purdue?
I mean, Purdue just beat them outright.
Yeah, Purdue kind of was ahead the whole time, really.
Yeah.
Alabama, 14 of 21 at the rim.
That's great.
Love getting to the rim. I thought LeBaron and Mark did a really nice job doing that, especially as the shots weren't falling. I think you just gotta a little bit like the running game in football. Just force it. Get to the rack. Get contact.
I mean, especially on a night like this where you go 6
how many
of 30.
the free throws were down. 2022, not bad, not great though. I want to see closer to 27, 28 free throw attempts.
What did you think of the debut of Chris Youngblood?
He's on my notes. I think it looked like his first minutes of the year.
Yeah, man, that's a good way to put it. I don't want to, it was the first game he played. He didn't look completely comfortable out there. I thought there was, moments where he kind of felt it a little bit. He did hit the 1-3, and that was I thought really nice for him to maybe just see the ball go in the basket, like we talked about with Jaren earlier in the year. But yeah, I think he's going to take a few games to maybe get up to speed. 16 minutes for him. That was a little more than I maybe expected to see. I thought maybe he'd be in that 8 to 10 range, but he was all right. He'll get there.
But could you see it?
I can see it. I can see it.
Oh, I think that in warm-ups, man, I was sitting under the basket, and he's just making it rain from three. It is like almost every shot he's making. Now, he's only 1 of 5 in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you don't want to overblow warm-ups. I get it. There's nobody in his face, and there's no pressure. And like I said, there was hardly anybody in the arena at that time. I think that, and like my last basketball note involves him, and I want to get you involved in the discussion. I think that by the end of the year, when Alabama's going up to the SEC tournament, Chris Youngblood's going to be one of your more important players.
I think so. I think who watched the game on TV. I was listening. You hear the broadcast. Then they probably mentioned it 4 or 5 times throughout the game. Just how built and big and strong he is. Yes, he is not the typical thin as a rail wing player that Alabama has maybe grown accustomed to with a few guys recently. He is. He reminds me, maybe not quite the same play style.
Trevor Relaford.
Yeah, he's got that like Jaden Bradley a little bit to him, where he's just kind of a pit bull, I think. But a better player.
It was cool. Trevor Relaford was in the building. Got a big old ovation.
I did
not
see
as
that.
Big of an ovation as I expected.
That's super disappointing. I think I wanted to ask you this while we were talking about fans. How many people in there, that you gathered just from watching and everything, percentage-wise, what percentage of people you think really understood the gravity of that game in there?
10%.
That's disappointing.
Yeah. Because, the fans were definitely into it. I don't want to undersell that.
But
it wasn't.
It didn't have that extra notch.
Right. The extra just kind of nastiness where you think anybody could spit on the court at any time. Right. Like an Iron Bowl. You look around and you think man, if that Joker gets fired up, he might throw that cup on the
throwing
court,
a hot dog.
Right. Now, look, I don't want to say that.
Please
about
don't do
Alabama
that.
fans. They don't do that. That's not what happens. But you can just feel.
Yeah, me and you have been in Coleman Coliseum for those types of games. For when Houston comes to town. For when Auburn comes to town. For when LSU came to town. When Will Wade was there, and there was that. It was a great atmosphere.
Like if somebody got a chance
with an extra umph.
They might.
Might. Somebody might throw a cup down at Will Wade's head if they get the opportunity to. It seemed like maybe it didn't have that extra elevation to it.
Right. It was a good crowd for sure, but it just wasn't that hostility. How
do we communicate this to the Alabama fans as a whole? That we have to hate Creighton.
He's got to let it. Well, you probably needed it. You probably need something bad to happen to Alabama from Creighton in the Nate Oates era.
Unfortunately, I think that may be what it is.
Since you've had how many coaches now? Anthony Grant, Avery. You've had 2 coaches now in between the incident. That's why. All right, Mason. Last
You
little discussion for us on the basketball
Mhm.
side. Everybody's healthy for Alabama in this hypothetical world.
Yes.
Nate Oates is obviously playing Mark Sears.
This is
He's
an insane
obviously
question.
playing Chris. He's obviously playing Kofa Mori.
Mm-hmm.
Grant Nelson, you're
Yep.
in my starting lineup as well. And I don't care who you choose, LeBaron Philon or Aiden Holloway. You'll
Mhm.
probably choose LeBaron, and that's probably my choice as well. Great. So there's 4. Are we in agreement so far?
Yeah.
All right. Amori, Nelson, Sears, Philon. Everyone's healthy. So far, you have seen Jaron
Ooh.
Stevenson play in this role,
Mhm.
in the 3-4 / role, right? Because basically we're going Sears 1, LeBaron 2, vice versa. It just depends on what we're doing, right? The 3 is open, 4 for Grant, and 5 for Amori. So you're playing the 3, the 4. Are we starting Jaron Stevenson? Are we starting Darian Reed? Or are you starting Chris Youngblood? What eventually becomes, hey, we got to have it in the moment. This is, game's on the line. This is my 5. What ends up happening for this Alabama basketball team?
My gut wants to just jump out and say Darian Reed. He's been awesome. But, my brain is sitting here nipping at me thinking, yeah, but he's only a freshman. Chris Youngblood got a little more experience. Get him comfortable in the offense. He might really become that kind of guy. I think I'm gonna ride with Darian Reed, just because of what we've seen. I think while not exactly consistent every time he gets the ball in his hands, you do see those flashes where it's like, okay, I get why the NBA loves this guy. I get why scouts are maybe drooling over his game tape. So hopefully by season's end, that becomes a thing where it's just you can count on him every time you get the ball in his hands that he's going to make that kind of play. And I could see that for him. So I like what Darian Reed can do. I think I'd have to give the nod to him.
All right, I think that it is probably between Darian Reed and Chris Youngblood.
That's hard though.
Jaron Stevenson has probably served his role over these 10, 11 games, getting you off the ground. And I think that Jaron's probably going to end up being one of the first few guys off the bench.
Absolutely.
But just still lacking offensively.
I think his ceiling is just lower than Darian Reed's is, I think.
Right. And Darian can guard anybody. He's your best defender, I think.
Yep.
He's your best defender on this team. I think he can probably guard 1 through 4 and almost 1 through 5 pretty well.
Yeah.
And I think his offensive game is coming along. So the more that he gets action,
you see it every game.
Right.
A few possessions here and there, you see it.
I think I'm going to go opposite with you and say it'll be Youngblood, but I think Reed is probably your 1B answer there.
Yeah, I love both those guys. Obviously we have not seen a lot from Chris Youngblood, but you look back to what he did at USF, he was pretty dang good. And what we have seen from Darian Reed this year, like you said, the defense is elite. It's undeniable. The defense is absolutely elite.
Wingspan, his athleticism, his feet, he's got really good hand control,
and the offense is coming along. You see spurts of it every game. You see more and more of it every game. I was talking to a buddy of mine. He's an Auburn fan. I'm an Alabama basketball fan. We were talking about the games, and I was kind of telling him about, because he doesn't watch a lot of Bama games. He's not as locked in as I am, where I'm watching Auburn games. He doesn't really share that same gene. But he was asking me about some of the guys, and I'm like, yeah, Darian Reed. Don't look at his stats because they're not really going to tell you the full story. You need to actually just watch him play. And he watched it. He's like, yeah, no, that makes sense. I fully see it. I get why NBA guys like him. Like, it makes sense. You got to see it.
12 points on Saturday, 12 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists on the night for Darian Reed. So a good little evening for him as the boys wrap up this portion of non-conference play. You got 3 more bye games. Really, I guess you're not buying the North Dakota game because you're going on the road to play North Dakota on Wednesday. That'll be your next chance to see the guys in Grant Nelson's backyard, and then 2 more chances to see them in Coleman Coliseum before SEC play starts.
What'd you think of Aiden Terrell's minutes on Saturday?
I think that he played like a man.
I think he's coming along.
Yeah,
he is coming along. And, the stats may not indicate it, but he had 7 rebounds. Yeah, he got 10 minutes in the game. He did hit the 1 3. He's still shooting too many threes. Buddy, You got to stop shooting so many threes.
But the idea is I gotta shoot them.
Yes, I know.
I got you. You've got to come out. Like,
yeah.
if I'm just like faking it and not even shooting
know.
it, well, then the other guy's not coming out. The space the floor.
Yeah. But when they don't respect it, it doesn't help either.
Well, we want to. Okay, if we can go 2 of 5,
Sure. I liked what I saw from Aiden Shaw. I think he is coming along slowly but surely. I think, I don't really think that at any point this season we're going to see him getting more than about 10 to 15 minutes. This is probably all he'll get, but he's coming along. I think he's getting more and more used to the college basketball game.
It's a lot of fun watching him develop. I think he's going to be very, very exciting. Oh, and we got to get out of here because it's going to be an exciting week. Big game on Wednesday. The transfer portal will continue to transfer portal. We will follow it on BamaCentral.com. Our friend Hunter DeCyber is writing all the transfer portal news today, writing all the slot news today, everything going on. So we appreciate Hunter DeCyber doing that. Alabama Crimson Tide on SI for all your latest news. We'll see if Jaylen Mbakwe actually goes into the transfer portal. That is still not official. That has been rumored and teased. That'll be your next kind of domino. And we'll see if Alabama can secure Isaiah Horton, not Hilton, Isaiah Horton out of Miami and other talented players out of the portal. So we'll talk to you again tomorrow right here on the Joe Gaither Show. You follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube on the Bama Central YouTube channel at Joe Gaither 6 on your favorite social media machine and Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You can download, rate, review the show, the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central. We'll leave you with this.
This is huge news that we forgot to mention.
Oh, yeah.
Brand new long snapper.
Oh, roll
Brand new long snapper. David Byrd from Cal transfers in today, announces his commitment on social media. Welcome to the Crimson Tide. Nealon Hibbett's replacement. Everything I've read about him, he's fantastic. Zero errant snaps in 2024.
The Birdman. No errant snaps. Come to Alabama. We'll see if you can keep it going. David Byrd, the newest Alabama.
What happened to that boy?
Right? When how that song went? Right. We'll get out of here for the day. That's the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central and BamaCentral.com.